It has been 10 years since All right, thanks for staying with us. Well, it has been 10 years since the events of September 11th, 2001. My next guest is Rudi Dekkers. He's the author of Guilty by Association. Mr. Dekkers was running one of the flight schools in Venice that trained two of the terrorists, including terrorist leader Mohammed Atta. Mr. Dekkers, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Give me a sense. You trained Mohammed Atta and one other terrorist. Any inclination whatsoever what they were up to?
No, none. We wish, of course, because then we would be heroes instead of, you know, infamous. No, none. They behaved normal, like we say normal for Muslim students that we had over the years already. There was no inclination whatsoever.
But you described Atta as dead man walking. He just was boom.
I never liked him, but you know, we're a professional school, and it doesn't matter if you like your customer or not, you're doing a professional job, and that's where you get paid for it.
All right, so on 9/11, you've got a successful flight school. You've already gotten rid of Mohammed Atta. You kicked him out 9 months earlier. You had 160 people working for you in 100 airplanes. What happened next?
After 9/11, I did not know I was involved, but the next day I was. FBI came to my facility and we find out we were involved. And that moment it was a spiral going down. The banks canceled a note on me, certain FAA or certain departments from the government were trying to be difficult, and you know, everything went down. And 6 months later I was in Congress. In Congress they said Mr. Dekkers did it by the book. I had the visas, as you remember, Bush was very mad that the visas were issued. We did everything by the book, but yet still guilty by association. People didn't know how to handle us. They didn't know, were we involved, yes or no. And you know, they just took distance from us, and especially me as an owner.
And that was something your businesses couldn't survive?
I could not survive that. We didn't go bankrupt, but I sold everything for a penny on the dollar.
You had $12 million in assets. You ended up with how much?
$46,000.
All right, so at least you came out on top, but now you're trying to rebuild it, I presume? Is that what you...
I'm trying to rebuild it, but 3 years ago, like everybody else, the economy hit, and didn't hit positive, it hit negative, and me too.
All right, so a lot of people are going to look back and feel very sad on September 11th. Tell me what has happened to you in the last 10 years. How have you felt about this?
You know, it's not simple to say that in a couple of minutes, but first of all, when the businesses went down and later on Congress said I did it by the book, I was trying to set up a new corporation, an aviation corporation, again, flying people from A to B. But that moment, I don't know who, but I crashed with my helicopter in the Caloosahatchee River and I couldn't report what really happened. What happened was somebody played with the fuel line. But I was going to be a captain on a jet and nobody wants to fly with me. So I tried to build it up, but it didn't work. Didn't work. Then the FAA, you know, difficult. Then I started to be a swimming pool builder. I need to make money. I need to give my family bread and everything. And that went well for a couple of years. But then 3-4 years ago, the economy went in and didn't do well for anybody.
Now you initially got some death threats after 9/11 because the flight school had been named as one of the places they trained.
Yeah, that's correct. I had a couple of hundred death threats from Americans initially. 2 days later, when I was on the news all over, they called back and they said, I apologize, I can see you're just a businessman doing your job. But the death threats kept going, but not from Americans, from funny-speaking people. I would say that they could be Muslims. I don't have any business cards, but that kept going. And my helicopter incident was not an incident, it was loud and clear that somebody wanted me off this planet.
All right, now, why did you had dismissed Atta from the school at Christmas 2010. Why did you do that?
He called me after the FAA on Miami called us that he left an airplane on Miami because he couldn't start it anymore, and he left it on the tarmac on an international airport. The FAA was really, really pissed off at us and said, you know, what are you doing there with a student? And then we told him, that's not a student, that's a licensed pilot. But when Atta came back and I made the decision, we are a student school, not a pilot school. We train people to become a pilot. When you're a pilot, you have to go. So I told Atta, you have to go.
All right, now you were not training him on jets.
No, no. The small planes, like the weight of your car, 2,000 pounds, 2 engines, 6 seaters. So, you know, they're small planes.
So You told me in a pre-interview that he was not a good student, at least initially.
No, there were mediocre students, but in the first 6 weeks, Atta was really not behaving. He was just playing, not listening to our instructors, and my chief flight instructor came to me after 6 weeks and says, I got a student that's absolutely not behaving. Can I expel him from the flight school? I said, sure, we have a reputation to keep up. And then I found out it was Atta, and he talked to Atta and said to him, you know, if you're not behaving, then there's only one way, and that's the highway.
Let me ask you, what do you hope to gain with writing this book, Guilty by Association?
You know, media has been good to me all those years, but internet media is not that great. They fantasize stories and they put your name on the internet in a bad way. I want to clear my name with all the information in my book. Plus, I want the readers to know they don't need to collect all the newspapers in the world to find out everything what happened with 6 months terrorists in my school. Everything is in the book, and I hope that people will buy the book, and it will give me also a small financial start to start my own business again. I could not start any businesses anymore. Do I become rich? Do I make my $12 million back? No way. But if I would make $120,000, I would be already happy.
Just we'll clear, everyone knows that you are a Dutch citizen, but you now have a green card and are married to an American, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, Rudi Dekkers, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing this. Probably a story not many people have remembered or have thought about very much in the last decade. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone else, stay with us. We'll be right back.